bring their ass here and start building them desks and stuff in America, because he's going to make America great again. Let's go, Donald Trump.
Politics like that?
Nope.
It's not good for the country. Who does that? Yeah, your team got an offense and a defense. They're not supposed to be enemies. The enemy is the other side.
Peace.
Never talk about it. I'm not that controversial.
President Trump was accommodating. I'm going to give the man this. The man was very congenial.
Just show me what he's done for black people so I can understand, because right now I don't.
All right. Go on and collect.
Kamala Harris for president.
There's been tension in comedy before, but this time it feels different because the person firing shots at Steve Harvey isn't a gossip blogger or a random headline. It's Katt Williams. And when Katt talks, the whole industry listens. This wasn't one of Katt's usual stand-up moments or some clever punchline that had people laughing till they cried. Nah, this was different. This was a full-on verbal knockout, live and unfiltered, straight from his sit-down with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay. For over an hour, Katt didn't just talk. He unleashed. He peeled back the shiny layers of Hollywood comedy, calling out names and exposing what he called the real game behind the smiles. It wasn't jokes, it was truth bombs. And the moment he dropped Steve Harvey's name, the entire room froze. You can't call yourself a king of comedy, Katt said with that cold stare, when your whole career is built on other people's material. Boom. That line hit the internet like a shockwave. Clips started spreading in seconds. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all flooded with reactions and debates. Everyone had an opinion and no one could stay quiet. But here's the thing, to really feel the weight of that moment, you've got to rewind. Go back to where this tension started, long before Club Shay Shay, before the cameras, before the viral clips. Because this wasn't just another interview. It was years of frustration finally spilling into the spotlight.
Same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he making all black men think he got the best lineup in the business, and it's a man unit. People, he used to be homeless. That's my story. That's not his story. Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless. When 25 years ago, he was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week. They just tell the story.
Before the sharp suits, the talk shows, and that polished game show grin, Steve Harvey was just another hungry comic chasing a dream. He was sleeping in his car, driving city to city, doing whatever it took to find a stage, sometimes just for enough gas money to make it to the next one. By the late 90s, his grind finally paid off. He hit the big time alongside Bernie Mac, Cedric the Entertainer, and D.L. Hewley on the legendary Kings of Comedy tour. The show blew up, arenas packed out, crowds roaring, and overnight those 4 names became comedy royalty. But if you ask Katt Williams, that success came with a shadow. According to Katt, Steve didn't build his empire from the ground up, he borrowed it. And in the comedy world, that's the ultimate crime. Taking another man's jokes isn't just lazy, it's betrayal at the highest level. And here's the wild part, this isn't even a new accusation. Way back, Mark Curry, the star of Hanging with Mr. Cooper, claimed Steve lifted his bits for the Steve Harvey show. Curry said he turned on the TV one day and saw his own jokes being performed word for word. When he confronted Steve, the only thing he got back was, "That's show business." That story never really died. It just simmered beneath the surface, whispered through comedy circles like an open secret. So when Katt brought it up again, it didn't sound like random shade. It felt like revenge, a long-delayed call-out finally catching up to the spotlight.
This is sad. We've never been here before. Be a movie star. There are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year. Not one of them asks for a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good over KB and look like Mr. Potato. Ever been at the point where neither option is good for us in real life?
No.
This is a different conversation. This is, would you rather go back with your ex or would you rather go back
Katt didn't stop there. He dug even deeper, going straight for Steve's image. He called him a master manipulator, a man who used smooth talk, faith, and that southern charm to climb the Hollywood ladder while keeping his hands clean in public. Then Katt dropped a line that hit hard. You can't preach about God on TV when you've been playing dirty behind the scenes. The room froze. That one hit a nerve. Fans had whispered those same words for years, but nobody in the industry had the guts to say it out loud until Katt did. And he didn't just speak, he came with receipts and context. He reminded everyone that back during the Kings of Comedy era, the world crowned 4 kings. But in the eyes of the people, there was only one true ruler, Bernie Mac. Bernie was raw, fearless, and funny from the soul. He wasn't trying to play Hollywood games, he was just being himself. But as Katt put it, Hollywood doesn't always want real, they want safe. That's where, according to Katt, Steve came in. He wasn't the funniest, but he was the most flexible, the one they could shape, the one who wouldn't rock the boat. And when Bernie passed away, Steve slid into that spotlight like the throne had been waiting for him all along. Fans had always picked up on that tension between the two, but it was usually brushed off as creative differences. Even D.L. Hewley once admitted Bernie and Steve never really saw eye to eye. Now, with Katt's words echoing through social media, all those old whispers suddenly sound a lot more real and a lot harder to ignore. Then came the knockout blow, the one that had everyone sitting up straight. Katt didn't hold back when he said Steve had been using faith like a costume. He wasn't that loyal friend or humble mentor he sold to the world. He was a carefully built brand, a performance wrapped in prayers and punchlines. That line hit deep because people had already seen the cracks showing. The messy divorce that made headlines. The leaked email where he told his own staff, "Don't talk to me, don't look at me." The endless stream of rumors that seemed to follow him no matter how many smiles he flashed for the cameras. It all started to make sense now. Katt didn't have to raise his voice or get dramatic. He just laid everything out like a lawyer building a case. Each word landed heavy, piece by piece, like undeniable proof. And suddenly, all those motivational speeches, the perfect family man image, the TV sermons about integrity and blessings, they didn't sound inspiring anymore. They sounded scripted, like a man playing a role he'd been rehearsing for years. And now, that act was starting to fall apart right in front of everyone's eyes. The internet went up in flames overnight, no exaggeration. Club Shay Shay clips were everywhere. TikTok, YouTube, X. You couldn't scroll for 5 seconds without seeing Katt's face and that unforgettable quote. The reactions came fast and loud. Half the crowd said Katt was just being bitter, but the other half shouted, "He's just saying what we've all been thinking." This didn't feel like jealousy. It felt like exposure. Katt wasn't throwing shade. He was shining a spotlight. And when he said, "When the money came, Steve switched sides," that line hit like a thunderclap. People repeated it, remixed it, turned it into captions, memes. It was everywhere. To Katt, Steve wasn't a comedian anymore. He was a corporation, a man who traded passion for profit, the grind for the game. And that cut deep because Steve had built his whole image on being the relatable guy, the underdog who came from nothing and beat the odds. But now, the illusion was cracking. Viewers started replaying old interviews, digging up old clips, looking at him differently. That man of the people persona suddenly didn't feel so real anymore. Instead, Steve looked like someone who climbed out of the mud, wiped his shoes clean, and then shut the door behind him.
Kamala Harris and the Democratic plantation is paying you celebrities, paying you to shame black people into voting. Y'all know we not gonna.
As the backlash exploded online, the internet turned into an archive. Old clips of Steve started popping up everywhere. Interviews where he brushed off guests, moments when that polished smile faded, and times he seemed to mock other comics or make light of their grind. Fans started connecting dots like detectives, and once the internet builds a story, it spreads like wildfire. Soon it wasn't just social media talking. The noise reached Hollywood boardrooms. Networks began quietly reviewing contracts, double-checking deals, and asking tough questions behind closed doors. No one wanted their brand tied to the man people were now calling Hollywood's phony preacher. The nickname stuck, and it stung. While executives scrambled to control the damage, Steve went completely ghost. No statements, no social media posts, no interviews, nothing. Just cold silence, the kind that doesn't calm things down but makes everyone talk even more. And in that silence, the world started wondering, maybe Katt wasn't just talking and maybe he was telling the truth. But even silence makes noise when the crowd turns on you. This time, Steve wasn't fighting off gossip blogs or random rumors. He was being called out by one of his own, another veteran, another legend, someone who'd walked that same rough road, slept in the same motels, and hustled on the same stages. That's why it cut so deep. This wasn't hate, it was accountability. The sting wasn't from outsiders, it came from within the comedy world itself. Katt wasn't just talking from the sidelines, he was speaking from experience. And then he brought up Monique's old interview, the one where she said Steve told her straight up, it's not about integrity, it's about the money game.
Here in this country, Donald Trump is not going to be that bad. Don't run.
That single quote came back swinging. The clip resurfaced, spread across every feed, and this time, people looked at it differently. Suddenly, all the stories lined up. The pieces that never made sense finally fit together. What once sounded like gossip now felt like proof. And the internet was eating it up. Katt wasn't roasting Steve. He was tearing down the myth piece by piece. He called him a Hollywood puppet, someone who'd been pulling strings for the cameras instead of standing on real principles. He even clowned Steve's own movie, Think Like a Man, saying it was the perfect example of how far Steve had drifted from authenticity. Then Katt hit with the cold line that Steve had been acting long before Hollywood ever handed him a script. What made it hit even harder was Katt's tone, calm, steady, and sharp like a blade. He wasn't yelling, he wasn't cracking jokes, he was just telling it how it is. The audience didn't laugh out of humor, they laughed out of recognition. That uneasy kind of laugh when something sounds too real. Every word carried weight, and every pause said more than a punchline ever could. Now, Steve's empire might still be standing, the talk shows, the books, the product lines, but the foundation looks shaky. The man who once stood as a symbol of hustle and perseverance is suddenly being questioned for something deeper, authenticity. And no smooth talk or polished monologue can patch that up this time. Behind the scenes, word is his team's been in full-blown crisis mode. They're canceling appearances, rewriting statements, and scrambling to rebuild that family man image he spent years perfecting.
Ain't for sale. We bartering on business. We standing on business. Bring us some tangibles or get out of my face. Only carried on because y'all got paid to carry on. Can we please?
But the real problem runs deeper. Because how do you rebrand when the truth isn't coming from haters or tabloids, but from someone the audience actually trusts? Katt's words stuck and they're still echoing. Once people start doubting your realness, no amount of PR spin can buy it back. Credibility isn't something you can fake, and once it's gone for good. Katt Williams didn't just call out Steve Harvey, he pulled the curtain back on the whole Hollywood system. He said the industry keeps rewarding fake smiles and safe personalities while pushing aside the ones who speak the truth. According to Katt, that's why people like Bernie Mac, Monique, and even himself get sidelined, because real talk doesn't sell as easily as a shiny brand does. Now, the internet isn't just debating Steve anymore, it's questioning every so-called role model in the entertainment world. Fans are tired of scripted inspiration that feels more like marketing than meaning. They're craving honesty, even if it's raw, messy, and uncomfortable. For years, Steve Harvey represented the dream, the man who rose from nothing, preaching faith, grind, and success. But now people are starting to ask the hard question, at what cost? Did the fame change him or just reveal who he always was? Katt didn't just challenge a name, he cracked open a real conversation about what real even means in Hollywood, and whether Steve can come back from that hit, that's still up in the air. But one thing's for sure, after this, that crown he's been wearing, it doesn't shine quite the same anymore. If you made it this far, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment. Tell us what you think about Katt's truth bombs, and as always, see you on the next one.